I want to welcome everybody. Yeah, that's what I was looking. I want to welcome everybody to our second presentation. Let's open with a word of prayer. Holy God, we thank you for your continued watch care over us at this camp meeting. Thank you for the truth that you're trying to bring to our attention. Sometimes we don't understand the path that you're taking us along. Help me, help each of us to be patient and to find joy in the journey along this narrow path that you are taking us along. We may not understand everything that you're showing us today, but as you have done in the past, I believe you will continue to do in the future. That you will make known unto us what we don't understand at this moment. Bless us with this promise, this hope, in Jesus' name. Amen. So we've been speaking about the Second Amendment at some length, and someone has reminded me, so therefore I want to remind yourselves, that there's a Third Amendment. And it's, well, I guess it's obvious, but it's one that we don't talk about often. So if you're going to, actually, you shouldn't be looking that up because you shouldn't have internet. So I'll do it for you. I guess the quickest way is if I just write it out. No soldier shall, in times of peace, it says singular, not times. In time of peace, be housed without permission of the owner. Nor in time of war but in a manner according to the law. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but what's the obvious context here? Because this amendment is quite explicit, it's quite clear. Anybody want to venture? So it's about wartime. Soldiers. These are not the citizens, these are soldiers. Now, obviously, this is a separate independent amendment. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to turn this into 2A. It's number 3. But I want us to see that it's talking about soldiers, and it's talking about a time of peace and a time of war, and the limits to we'll call it the soldier or the army's authority. So I just want to make that clear that there is this tension, if you like, between the military, its abuse of the citizens, the responsibility of the government or law. Okay, so I received some questions, and together let's see if we can answer some of them. So last week I spoke about, I'm going to call it the subject, or I used the term or the word morality. I'll give you the question, then I'll give you the context. Talking about self-defense. So the subject is self-defense. So we understand that. And the question is self-defense moral or prophetic? How should we understand that? Who wants to help this person? Put your hands up. Last week, the context when we spoke about self-defense, is this in a moral perspective or a prophetic perspective? Who wants to have a go? Magda? Yeah? You have to wait for the mic. Mike. Before you do that, let me give the context. I said that I would do that. So I did a study in 2020, Portugal, and the class was about prophecy or morality. I guess that was the title in some shape or form. It was a series. In one of the classes, I said that the test is moral. So the test would be the great test. And I gave a reason, according to the questioner, because it's about us and our neighbors. So if you remember the context of those studies, this is when, if I phrase it this way, we began to shift from the 4 to the 6 commandments. One second. Sorry. So was it the dealing with the 4 or the 6 commandments? If we say defense is okay, would it change the premise of that thought that I've just shared? the thought is the test is moral. Okay, that's it.
Okay. So last week, you were saying you're trying to avoid moral, adding to it. So I would say prophetic, but maybe both. Okay, so last week you were saying that you're trying to avoid moral statements. So we were trying to avoid that. So I would say it's prophetic, but I think it's maybe both.
Is that your answer? Could you define morality? And whatever you say. Oh, I was asking you. You don't know? Okay. We'll go for prophecy then. Can you define prophecy?
But not now.
Okay. Okay. We'll go with Arian. What you answering?
The prophecy part.
Go with the morality one.
No, that's the one I
Halo?
no, I don't.
Okay, go with the prophecy. We'll make it easy.
What I remember, I think it was the 2020 studies where we said prophecy is morality with time, on a specific time.
Oh, so you are going to answer that one then.
What is it? It's morality. Prophecy without time.
Yeah? That's what you're saying?
No.
Oh, don't make a
No.
mistake?
I said prophecy is morality.
Oh, okay.
At a specific time.
I don't have an eraser. So let me change this. So morality with time is prophecy.
Yes.
So I could say morality is prophecy without time then.
That's what I was thinking you were writing down, but that's not what I said.
And so prophecy is morality with time.
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain what that means? Go with that, Def. What does that mean?
Time in a sense that in a sense of present truth. So there is a specific subject that needs to be taught at a specific moment, at a specific time.
I'm going to put dispensation then.
So let's say whatever, equality or slavery is a moral issue. But it becomes prophetic when it is taught when it needs to be taught at that time.
Okay. So I'm going to put context as well. Are you okay with those two sort of nuances to as proxies for time? Okay. Anyone else? Did you have your hand up to me? Okay, so we'll go from the back and move forward. So Tamina, Shemaine, Leslie.
I was just gonna say that morality is what is right and what is wrong.
So morality is right and wrong.
The standard of what is right and what is wrong.
Right and wrong.
Yeah.
And prophecy is
What we said, it's morality or the standard of what is right and wrong with time.
okay, Shemaine.
We have the same thoughts.
In your own words, please, because I didn't understand what Tamina meant. So explain.
Morality is to know what is good and what is bad. Morality will teach you or will tell you what is bad and what is good.
I got that. You repeated it.
Repeat it because you look at me, so maybe you don't understand me.
No, I understood. And prophecy.
It's the same. If I have to add something, just maybe event of all the answer.
Event.
Pardon?
I heard event. I didn't hear what you said after.
Just add event on to add a thought on what is on the board.
Event.
Yeah, maybe.
Here.
Yeah.
Not event here.
What you
You said morality is right and wrong, good or bad. And what's the event? Does the event go here? So the event would be slavery, or not? I don't know.
for if we take for us equality, it's not really an event, but let's say equality arrive at the time period, and this is it.
Okay. Leslie? Are we able to sort the echo out with that mic? Because it's really distracting. Leslie?
Yeah, so I wanted to give my understanding of morality and prophecy. So I understand morality to be behavior, both good and bad, in relation to self and others. That's my understanding of morality.
Okay. So is that right and wrong
Okay.
behavior?
Yeah. And then prophecy, I wouldn't necessarily say time, but I would say it's, good and bad behavior amongst humans with a specific direction. So what I mean by direction is that human behavior is leading to an outcome, or it's leading somewhere. And prophecy points out where that behavior is leading to.
So when you say behavior, do you target what behavior is being looked at that's leading you into a particular place or direction, or is it all human behavior?
I would say specific types of behavior are highlighted by prophecy.
Okay, so when Arian put time there, what did you think he meant?
He mentioned something about a, dispensational. So it's not that I disagreed with him,
Okay,
but I was bringing out the aspect of direction, that it's coming from somewhere and leading somewhere.
okay, so like a standard definition of prophecy,
Yes.
which is what?
W-
I saw that prophecy was
a figurative delineation. of
figurative
events.
delineation of events.
Yeah.
So that's the direction that you're leading into.
Yes.
And you have specific issues in that delineation.
Yes. So I wasn't limiting it to
Okay.
a single dispensation, is what I'm saying.
And Arian was?
Not necessarily. What I'm saying is I wasn't focusing on the dispensation part, because you could think of a specific dispensation. And I was saying it's all one story at the end. All those dispensations are a single story at the end.
I'm just trying to speak on in his defense. So all of those stories, is it always the same morality?
I think the underlying principles are the same, yes.
Yeah, I didn't mean the underlying principle, obviously. The examples.
No, the examples are not the same.
Okay. Because I think that's what he meant.
And I agreed with it.
Okay.
I just was emphasizing the direction part.
So the example in this time, whatever the example is, you're okay with me drawing it that way? So before that, there was another example. You're saying that?
Yes.
In a different time. And there's a third example, which is the first one. Is that what you're saying? Yes?
Yes.
So, who said that? Oh, okay. So, do you agree with that, Ariane? So, these three examples, are they connected? More than just, they're all moral examples. Do they have to be connected with a theme of some kind in order to make it a path that you can walk along or follow?
I think so.
And if you can't find a connection, are you missing something or are you doing something wrong? I'll reframe my question.
Okay.
Once it is, yeah, okay. So I'll reframe it. Are you required to see a connection between the examples? Otherwise, it's not a line. Otherwise, it's not prophecy.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so they don't have to be connected.
No, not directly, no.
Okay. I thought you said that they did a minute ago. That's why I was clarifying.
Okay, when you said don't talk about the principles, then I said, okay, if it's about specific examples, they don't necessarily have to be connected directly.
Okay, but a principle then would be you just have to be good, good, good. Wouldn't it? Golden rule, golden rule, golden rule. I thought that's what you meant. Or no, actually, I thought you meant something more specific than that, not just the golden rule.
Okay, yeah, because what I was saying really is human behavior went wrong at some point. Oh, it's too far. And then humanity is on a journey in addressing that bad behavior. Or let me say incorrect behavior. So there's different examples of that process, but it is a process.
To connect them in any way besides the golden rule? What was in your mind when you said they're connected?
So some things, for example, couldn't be addressed as explicitly in a prior time or prior example. And then it's addressed more clearly and more specifically in later examples. That's what was on
Whatever that thing is, what is the common theme? Because you said it's the same problem, but it doesn't get addressed. So what is that problem?
Yes, the golden rule.
Okay, so you want to make it as simple as that, basically, as
Yes.
it golden rule. Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say something like patriarchy is the theme running through all of that, and you can give different examples in different dispensations of a common problem. Okay, but I misunderstood. Sorry.
I wanted to ask if the time above, if it was also time 1, time 2, time 3. Or it was just time all the same in every dispensation.
No, it
Or
says
is not a dispensation.
it's time 1, time 2, time 3.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Rose, you had your hand up?
So I think basically I wanted to say at one perspective, they are connected. You can look at it from like the whole story of redemption, or from Eden to Eden. You can see that all those dispensations, they are connected. Oh, but then you can see that there is also a specific element for each dispensation.
Okay, I don't think you said anything new yet. I don't think you said anything new yet.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
So basically, that was my comment when I raised my hand. You had not made the comment of patriarchy throughout.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the person's question. Do I address self-defense in a moral point of view or a prophetic point of view? What's the answer? Prophetic or moral? We've got two answers. Emma. So you're lost. Don't worry about all of that. Just
Okay.
answer the question. If you don't agree with that, some of that work, that definition.
I don't know. That's fine. I think I would say both.
Both.
Yeah.
So I address self-defense in a moral and a prophetic. Tell me the difference. How do you address it from a moral perspective? And then how do you address it from a prophetic one?
I think I think I see the moral as applying to me right and wrong and my perspective on right and wrong.
You're saying
it's-
personal.
But it's within a,
When you say you mean personal.
I guess the movement, it could,
Not you.
well, me as part of the movement,
As soon as you go to the movement, you're going to go to society. What's
Prophetic.
the movement as opposed to the world?
as opposed to the world. I'm saying how that,
Self-defense from a moral point of view, I should define what that meant. You said personal, and then you said actually movement. I'm not clear what you're saying.
okay, so it's the way I process right and wrong. Oh, sorry. It's the way I process the right and wrong of that issue within the prophetic framework that I'm in, within my dispensation.
I asked you. That's the prophetic bit. I asked for the moral bit because you separated them. You separated them. So I asked you, give me a defense for this ideology from a moral point of view. And you just gave me a prophetic one.
So maybe I'm just, okay. I think the moral aspect for me is how that impacts my behavior.
Is my you
Yeah.
personal? So it's just about you.
No, that's why I said it's both. Oh, the moral part is just about me. Yeah. Sorry, I'm confused.
I'm confusing you or you're confusing yourself?
Because I said it's both. I'm trying to explain both at the same
I think
time.
one at a time.
Okay, okay. So the
So you said self-defense from a moral perspective is just about you. Okay. So now explain self-defense from a prophetic point of view.
it's looking at the context of your dispensation and how it fits with your within that context, that issue, that example in your time. I'm not explaining it really.
Are you allowed to buck the trend? Buck the trend means go against the prophetic standard.
No,
Then you don't have a moral perspective.
so it's
Do you
just
see that you
prophetic
don't have one if you've just said no?
because we're not allowed to make our own decision outside of that. You're asking the
That's what you said, yes. You said moral, I can do what I want, me, myself, I. Prophetic is a dispensational issue. I can't resist the prophetic issue. So you have no personal choice.
No.
So you have no moral framework, according to your definition. Because you define morality as your personal choice, which you then said you don't even have.
It's dictated by the prophetic. Your moral
Dictators don't
choice.
give you a choice, so you don't have a moral choice. There's no morality now.
Okay,
But let her translate. Go ahead. I'm only
yes.
feeding you back what you're saying to me. I'm not adding or taking away.
Okay, I agree. Yeah. The prophetic position dictates your right and wrong, what you think as right and wrong.
So
shapes.
So either your definition of morality is wrong, or you don't have any morality. The way you define morality, you don't actually have that.
If morality is about choice, it's about behavior.
You didn't define that. You said personal choice, not corporate or dispensational choice.
That's why I started saying movement. Okay. Change it to movement.
You'll get the same trap. If you go to the movement level, it's the same trap. It's not any different. Because now you're going to say the world can behave differently to the movement. Two different standards.
Why?
You said that. If you're asking me the logic of what you've said,
Saying your morality is determined by the prophetic understanding.
whatever rules you apply to you, the movement, have to be the same rules that are applied to the Gentiles or the world. You can't have different rules. But that's what you've just done. Yeah.
Okay.
Go to Curtis.
I'm going to suggest the complete opposite to what Emma's.
The question is,
Oh, okay.
do I address self-defense in a moral perspective or a prophetic one? Answer that question.
At a moral.
Sorry?
At a moral perspective.
Not a prophetic one.
Oh.
And what's your definition of morality?
What's right and wrong at a personal level? Right and wrong behavior at a personal level.
So is there a prophetic perspective of self-defense? Or it's only a moral subject?
There is a prophetic perspective. However, I don't think that's what you were addressing.
No, the questioner is asking that.
Are they asking, is there a prophetic, or are they asking what you were addressing?
They gave some preamble, like I read out to you. And then they asked the question, when they talk about self-defense, to defend that right, do they address it from a moral perspective or a prophetic one?
Okay, having understood the question, it's both.
So tell me what each one is.
Sure.
Defend it morally and then defend it prophetically. Which
at a moral level would be your right to defend yourself as an individual. And I'm just going to. And then.
Right there, that's exactly what Emma said.
Yes. And then at a prophetic level, it's going to be about as an institution or group or society.
That's exactly what Emma said.
And now the difference is, can an individual's morality differ from the prophetic? And I'll say, yeah.
So what's the purpose of the prophetic if it doesn't dictate or control you?
Because it's talking about political issues as groups. But then once you zoom down into your individual, it's not a direct relationship. And I'm going to give an example. of a political issue. So an example that I got from someone in this room, voting, it's a political issue, but then does that mean that you as an individual have to vote? Is it a moral issue for you as an individual?
What's the movement position on that?
You as an individual, do what you want.
I don't think it is. I think the movement is, do you want to call it the movement position, says on a certain election, it's your moral duty or your prophetic duty to vote. You're required to. You don't have a choice. On unimportant rubbish elections, you don't have to,
Right. Yeah.
because those ones aren't prophetic issues.
Did you say aren't?
Then on those rubbish ones, low ones, but on the ones that are, you're required to. So come November, every single American member is required to register and to vote. It's their prophetic moral duty to do it. Whichever word you want to use, it's their, they don't have a choice in that. You disagree?
I need to
Obviously,
think about
yes.
that more. I need to think about that more.
Think about it now if you want.
Sure, while someone else has the mic.
Okay. So at the moment, you disagree with that.
I'm ambivalent.
Okay. In the time of crisis,
This is my preparation for the crisis.
okay. I don't feel we've answered this person's question clearly, if I can speak on their behalf. We're almost there, but doesn't feel. I'm looking for a simple, neat answer that feels arrogant.
I think it is prophetic. As in our dispensation, we have talked about equality, women's rights. Subjects as abuse and harassment has become prophetic. Subjects as harassment and abuse have become part of the prophetic message. And self-defense is part of that in regard to the women that I think we are required to understand at this point in time that self-defense is required. That every human being has the right for on self-defense.
When you say right, that means you have an option. Is that right?
Not the right. No,
What
not
does
right.
right mean?
You just have it.
Okay. So do you have an obligation?
Yeah.
Because obligation is a lot more stringent test than right.
Okay. Yeah.
So as soon as you make it an obligation, you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is a much higher bar to
Yeah,
pass.
that's what I mean.
And I don't know if people agree with that.
Okay.
But I'm just clarifying that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to put my words in it, but I want to try to understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
because you're the first of a few people who have said it's actually your defense for your argument for self-defense has to be a prophetic defense, prophetic view, not a moral one. Based upon your definition that you gave, because tucked right in it is morality in a particular context. I think that's what you said, or what you mean. So I don't know if, so I don't agree with that or not. Blessing, then Tamina. Anyone else? Anyone on this side? No? Okay.
Okay. In answer to that question, I wanted to say I don't think there's a difference between the moral and the prophetic. I think they're the same.
Okay. So
you can.
he said that from his perspective, he doesn't see that morality and prophecy are different. So I'll let him finish and then I'll comment.
So the issue of self-defense is a moral issue. It's a moral issue. And we are discussing it in a specific context. So what I'm saying is the moral and prophetic divide is like it muddies the waters, if I can say it that way. It muddies the waters. It
makes it confusing.
Yeah, it confuses the issue. Because we are discussing a moral issue. So that's my response.
Okay. You were doing so well until you said muddy.
It's a muddy. Oh, muddy. Oh,
he was
okay.
doing so well before he used muddy the water to make it confusing. Because your definition should bring clarity, not confusion. So you started off well because you were simple. You said they're the same thing. What you didn't say, which I'm going to ask you, if you start splitting them, what ends up happening when you start separating morality and prophecy as two separate things?
I think you come up with two standards, like two types of behaviors.
And to me, that would be muddy.
That's what I meant.
Ah, good.
Yes, I was saying
Okay.
they shouldn't be separated.
Right. If you separate them, it makes it muddy or confusing. Got it. This has been an issue in the movement for a long time. Keep the microphone. And it's easy to fall into the trap or the snare, which I'm more than happy to give you, to lead you into the trap, because that's what everybody else will do, especially the media. All of it will entrap you. So we have to be aloof or above that. So the last question, what are you defining as morality? When you say either the same thing, the way you described it, what would you define morality as? Because it got defined in a specific way earlier. So I know you disagree with that definition. Tell me how you define morality.
So I don't have the words to define it. Actually, I don't know how to define it, to be honest.
Tamina. I will go to Tamina, then Arian. Do you want to speak first to Arian first, then Tamina? Sorry. Only because he wants to respond to a point this is already.
No, I actually wanted to ask then, because we've defined prophecy now as being morality with time. So we're not splitting them, right?
From the very beginning, you join them together. And I think Blessing is doubling down on that.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Okay. And you?
Okay. So I thought he disagreed with
No,
this definition.
he's
Oh,
agreeing with that premise. Green? Yeah, he agrees.
okay.
He says the problem is when you separate them, however you're going to separate them, you end up getting into a model that causes you problems.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
We're yet to hear Curtis's defense why it doesn't, which is he may or may not get to an answer. I'm not trying to pin him down, but Curtis says you can separate them because they're different models or issues. And when Emma did exactly the same thing that Curtis did, she capitulated under my pressure, and Curtis didn't. Curtis just said, give me more time to think. So that's just a summary of their position compared to the two of yours. Tamina? Oh, go ahead.
About morality? Or?
Yep.
I thought about
What's my question?
the definition of morality.
Okay.
I had to think of the relationship from human to human, so between humans and also to human to God. How do you behave towards each other and towards God?
Oh, that's the definition.
That's what. Yeah.
Okay.
I have two answers to both of your questions. So,
what's the question?
one was about the questioner's question about if it's prophecy and morality, and the other one.
Answer that. Okay, so answer that one first. Is it prophecy or morality?
How I understood it was that it's prophecy, because prophecy will allow you to use methodology. When we use prophecy, methodology guides us. And this actually the understanding we're gaining from that will have an effect on morality.
So your argument is it has to be prophecy because prophecy uses or incorporates methodology. That's your argument? Okay, so morality, doesn't morality require methodology?
I often find it subject to culture.
That's the methodology.
Culture is a methodology? Sorry. Culture is methodology?
Sure. You sound surprised.
I am.
What do you think culture is? Emotionalism or?
Traditions, habits.
So you're saying morality is emotionalism then?
That was actually my answer to your second question. When you mentioned the media and the problem we're getting into, it's It's because we put emotions in front of methodology or above methodology.
Okay, so your argument is prophecy has methodology and morality has no methodology.
Yeah.
Okay. Ignatius, then Curtis. You're going to respond? Your point, that's what I meant, yeah.
Okay, so if I had the question well, is the do I address self-defense at a moral perspective or prophetic perspective or prophetic approach? I would say prophetic approach, because there's a point in time in history where the church, every church member was not allowed to defend themselves. Especially if they are attacked by somebody that is not from inside, from the church. And that is the end of ancient Israel. When Jesus came and is explaining the nature of his kingdom to the Jews, to the church. So in Matthew chapter 5 to chapter 7.
Don't quote verses to me.
Yes,
Just give me
yes. So he tells them that when somebody attacks you, you pray for them. Referring to the Romans. So it was not necessary for them to defend themselves against the Romans. According to my understanding, at least. But in our time, the end of modern Israel, the message is equality. So to demonstrate that, you are supposed to defend yourself. And the external events are testifying to such as well. Since according to Daniel chapter 2, the external events informs how the church is supposed to behave internally. So that's my understanding.
Okay. Curtis.
I'm going to try and use a model that we've built on.
What's the question you're addressing?
Sure. How we can distinguish between morality and prophecy. How they can be separated.
Define morality.
You at a personal level.
Individual rights.
Individual.
Define prophecy.
Systemic, societal.
Corporate rights.
Corporate.
So you're defining morality as personal rights, prophecy as corporate rights.
Sure.
Okay.
And then I'll go back to our statement, the statement that we used, the personal is political. And how your personal life influences the corporate. And vice versa. So we recognize that, but at the same time, we recognize that individual discrimination that happens, you and isn't the same as systemic discrimination. The fact that it's at scale, it affects society. And so all I'm pointing out is that we recognize that there's this distinction between these two different types of behavior. And so I'm applying that same thought to this, while also admitting that there's an interplay between the two.
Okay, so you notice the glazed look.
Oh,
Rose, you lost me, sorry. I would pursue it, but I want to try to get other people. Sorry.
Um,
Go ahead.
okay, so I want to take us a bit back in history.
What are you trying to answer, Rose?
The issue of morality, prophecy, are they separate or like?
What's your position?
So I'm saying you should not separate them.
And you're going to give us a defense of that.
Yes, an example from the past.
Which is a defense.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So there was a time when we used to have arguments in the movement. That is the gospel prophetic, or is it about love or morality? And in the past, we noticed that whenever we take that approach, it's going to be difficult.
Difficult or wrong?
Wrong. Because people used to argue that is the gospel prophetic or it's about love, or which is morals, I guess.
You tell me the answer?
And in the past, we realized that we should not separate, we should not try to say it's prophetic or it's moral. We should not separate.
I got that. So give me the answer. The gospel is
Both prophetic and moral. It's both.
That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
So in this situation, where you're asking in regards to self-defense, is it, should I look at it from and say it's prophetic or it's an issue of morality? I think to try and separate the two, it becomes error as well.
Error.
Yeah, to try and say, it
I got
becomes
error.
wrong. Yeah.
So can you just clarify, is Curtis teaching error? Because that's what he just did. Yes?
Elder, I don't want to get into problems.
Just clarify, is teaching error?
Yeah.
Okay.
So because the both elements of prophecy and morality are there in the issue of self-defense. You cannot separate them. Because you're saying I'll defend women's maybe women's rights according to the prophetic message. So treating a woman wrongly is bad. In context with prophets, I don't know how you can separate the two. I'm bad at this.
Okay. Pascal, just an observation. I'd be weary to say that either Emma or teach error, because they've both got a reputation of being right. Pascal.
C'est juste pour expliquer ma pensée.
Mhm.
Quand on regarde les deux définitions qui sont mises au tableau,
It's got to go right to your lips. Sorry.
sorry. Quand on regarde les deux définitions moralité et prophétie au tableau,
Both definitions of morality and prophecy on the board.
Do I
je
do
dirais
anything?
effectivement,
I don't need to translate anything. Okay.
que ce soit l'évangile ou que ce soit le sujet de la légitime défense,
Say whether we're talking about the gospel of the topic of self-defense,
ce sont des sujets, enfin, ça doit se traiter de manière prophétique, puisque la
those topics should be talked about prophetically,
parce qu'on voit que dans la définition de la prophétie, la moralité est intégrée.
because we can see that in the definition of prophecy, morality is in there.
Et en fait, moi, je ne sais pas si j'ai raison, mais lorsqu'on prend la moralité seule,
I don't know if I'm right, but when we take morality by itself on its own,
c'est pas écrit au tableau, mais moi, j'y vois la notion du littéral aussi.
it's not written on the board, but I see the idea of literal.
C'est-à-dire que on peut dire que la Bible est un livre moral.
Because we can say the Bible is a moral book,
Et on va prendre les textes qui sont écrits
and we're going to take the texts
et
written,
on va les appliquer de façon littérale,
apply them literally,
et ça sera purement de la moralité.
and it will be pure morality.
Ça, c'est mon opinion.
That's my opinion.
I just wanted to say that somebody said that she's bad in separating moral and prophetic. And I thought to myself, but that's good because that's not the way it should be. Oh, I remember that was the error of the SDA church, that they separate both. And if we are not able to separate them, then it is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Leslie?
I think I have an answer to the question you asked me earlier.
What's the question?
The question was, so what is morality then?
Okay, so you're going to define morality.
Yes. So I think morality is prophecy. And morality is the rules of human conduct. And prophecy is the rules of human conduct. You can't hear me? Okay. I'm saying morality is the rules of human conduct. Rules as in principles. Yeah. And prophecy is the same thing. I'm saying it's the rules of human conduct. There is no difference.
So we've already got the first one here. Human behavior, right and wrong. Explain it here. Prophecy is the same thing.
Yes. So I'm saying the context part is just different examples.
Okay, so we leave that.
Yes. But it's all rules that are addressing human behavior or human conduct.
So we don't even need that.
Yes, so I'm saying it's morality equal prophecy. It's the same thing.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Unless anybody's got, I think people don't understand what you're talking about.
They don't understand what I'm saying.
That one they do. Because people have a feel, an intuitive understanding of morality.
Okay, the reason why I'm saying that as well is Curtis said earlier that morality applies to an individual. And I don't agree with that. Because morality is a collection of rules that regulate human conduct.
A collection of
rules.
Methodology.
Yeah, methodology, basically.
It wasn't. Okay.
Yes. Yes, so methodology addressing human conduct. And I'm saying it doesn't make a distinction between individual and corporate. So I would think, I know there's a model we have where we say personal and political, or individual and systemic.
Stop.
And
I'll stop you there.
Okay.
You define morality to my satisfaction. Define prophecy. I don't understand your definition of prophecy.
I'm saying it's the same thing.
Morality is human conduct, how people behave one to another.
Yes.
And prophecy is human behavior, how people behave one to another.
Yes.
Period.
Yes, and I was emphasizing the issue of the rules.
Rules.
Yes. Because prophecy is, it's addressing the rules of human conduct. And that's what morality does. So I'm saying it's the same thing.
Okay.
And then we can bring in the issue of context, because the rules are addressing your behavior in a certain context.
So the context would be the example.
Yes.
I want to move on to a different question. I know people have some things. It's related. Another person. I am wondering if you could explain more what you meant. Okay? Because I said, I don't know when I said it. It might have been last week. The movement, this is for Shemaine. The movement is a prophetic movement. That's what I said, apparently. And that I try to stay away from morality issues. So I only deal with prophets. I don't like morality. But the question is this. I ask this because I'm of the understanding that the Sunday law test is both prophetic and moral, the 4 and the 6. Shemaine, is this a prophetic movement or a moral movement?
Are we a prophetic movement or a moral movement? I will say we are both. We cannot
Both.
dissociate moralities to prophecy. Because equality is a moral issue, but it's coming into on the reform line. It's become also prophetic because it tests us. This is our excuse me. So, and also we can add also onto that question of time, what we put on the board. I think it's Ariane who says dispensational. So, and it affects our behavior. So this is how I will respond. So it's both. The movement is both.
Second question, connected.
To me again?
Because it's the same question. Apparently, I said, I don't mean that in a bad way. I said we should stay away from moral issues. Do you agree with that?
So we should not be member of you are not human being. We are living in a society. We are moral being also.
So you disagree with me?
We are moral being, but also, so we cannot dissociate morality. So what is the question, in fact?
Could I explain? I said the movement is a prophetic movement and that we should try to stay away from moral issues.
So we should be stay away from equality then. So I don't know. So this is how I understand it. So
So you disagree with what I said?
If you say that, I disagree with you.
Good. And then the person said, I asked this because I'm of the understanding that the Sunday law test is both prophetic and moral.
Ben oui. Oui, equality, it's a moral issue and it's become prophetic. So I just repeat what I just said.
So you agree with that bit? You agree with that bit?
So that's mean, yes.
And the proof for that is the 4 and the 6. You agree with that proof?
Yes, you can use this proof too, yeah.
So you're telling me the 4 is prophetic and the 6 is moral?
I just said we can use this proof. I don't get into the answer in depth.
Okay. Anyone else disagree with me? Brian? First tell me if you disagree with me.
What am I disagreeing?
I said we're a prophetic movement and we should stay away from moral issues.
No, I disagree with you.
Disagree?
I disagree.
Okay.
Because I believe that the question was, is this a prophetic movement? Isn't it?
I made the statement apparently.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
after that, the question was,
I wonder if you could explain more what you meant by a statement I said. The movement is a prophetic movement and that we should stay away from moral issues. That's the question. And then they give their response because they thought that the great test is both moral and prophetic. 4 and 6.
okay, my response is yes, we are a prophetic movement that has moral values. Simple.
Okay, so we're a prophetic movement that has moral values. When you say we're a prophetic movement, what does that mean? We're a movement of prophecy or a movement that believes in prophecy?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're created out of prophecy and we believe in it. So we believe in our own identity.
Yes.
Okay. And we believe in the issues around us, which makes us moral.
Amen. Let's close it.
And the great test is moral and prophetic.
Yes.
And it's the 4 and the 6.
Yes. Yes.
So the 4 is prophetic and the 6 is moral. I know it's not in front of you, but if you imagine it says prophetic and moral, 4 and 6, that's juxtapositioning. You don't agree with that?
Not sure about that.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, Rose first and then Ignatius. Put your hands up before you, right. Did I say that? Last week. Okay. Because Emma transcribes, that's why I want to know. No, I want to just. So you picked up what this question has. Sorry. Sorry about that. So this question resonates with you.
Yes. No.
Because it sounds like what you heard too.
No, because no, I heard it. It triggered me. And then I think I thought about it. And I told myself, he's probably not saying what I, at first sight, you think you hear.
Like that. So I'll still ask. So you heard that?
Yeah.
And you gave me the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Which is
And
what the person's doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's asking, what did you mean?
Say.
I guess. And I had my own answer to that question. I just created my own answer to the question, which was okay enough. And that's why I didn't ask the question.
Okay, but you had the same question, but you answered it yourself. And what was your answer?
Yeah.
Minder's nice. He wouldn't do something like
we're
that.
Prophetic move. We're a prophetic movement, and we should not have what we would call movement position.
A second.
We are a prophetic movement, and we should not have what we would call sometimes a movement position. On moral issues that are not created by prophecy.
So that might sound similar, but it's very different to how this person's phrased it. Okay, so Rose and then Ignatius. Oh, we'll go Ignatius first because he's just behind you. Oh, you don't do it?
Oh,
I said because you're just behind him now. Yeah, I changed the.
Okay, so I was taking down my notes. So I believe we're a prophetic movement, and prophecy informs morals. I'll give an example.
The question is, do you agree with what I said?
That you said that. Yes, you said that.
So I'm not. So I said that. I'm not arguing that. My question is, do you
said
agree
it,
with my
but
position?
Not recently. You said it in the past. In the past, before the midnight cry message.
The questioner is referring to last week.
I didn't hear that.
Okay.
I did not hear that part last week.
I'll pass it on to Rose because it's specific about last week. Arian's confirmed it, and
So I want to agree with what you said last week.
do you agree with that?
Let me put it in, let me define it.
Okay.
So we said morality is the right or wrong behavior, right? And I want to say prophecy is right or wrong behavior, which is morality. But it is now connected with a dispensation and a test. So prophecy is morals that are connected with a certain dispensation that comes with a test. So if we say, if we stick to my definition, then we're a prophetic movement. Because still the morality is there, but it's in context, or it's in a dispensation and there's a test.
So you just broke all the rules. Working on my definition, not your. But that's good. I agree with what you said. Tamina.
From what I remember from last week, is that you mentioned that it's surprising what we can get, what kind of answers we get when we let not emotions let us guide us, but methodology. And I think your statement there was made in that kind of context, that we should not let morality or in that moment emotions guide us, but that we're reminded that we're a prophetic movement and we're guided by methodology.
So you still disagree with what Blessing just said?
That they're the same? You mean that they're the same?
I can't hear you.
What Blessing said, like what he said a lot today.
The last thing he said was that morality
Together.
is based upon methodology. You just said it wasn't again. The prophecy is methodology.
Well, I was answering to that person
Sure.
based on what you said, not what Blessing said. So
Okay, so let me try to answer the person, because I got this question a couple of times. This question that I've just read out, it came in various shapes and sizes. But I wanted to read this one out, not the other ones. Something changed when? So something changed in 2014, which was a Sunday law. What changed? If you're going to do that, you've got to have the mic. As opposed to,
observers,
what did Elder Jeff call us?
students of prophecy.
That was his mantra. We're students of prophecy. We observe what's going on, and it's not our warfare. So we have a certain level of objectivity. But today, we have a bad attitude in our movement, which is expressed as what kind of a term? Sorry? Them and us. You must see this all the time. You go onto one of those forums, they do it all the time. People tell you how bad they are, which then means how good we are. So we've fallen into this mindset of this them and us. And what I tried to explain was this is not a matter of bad habit. It is a bad habit now, but it's been created or precipitated because of the dispensation that we're in. So if you go to the Spirit of Prophecy, not that one, Ellen White's writings, where's the focus of her attention? The Sunday law. Because at the Sunday law, what do we do? What do we do? We do a work. Everything else was what? So that was a preparation, and now there's a work to do. Ellen White's really clear about that. And that's just another way of saying we now do our job or act our part. So prophecy is now controlling our behavior. And we've just had numerous definitions or explanations that our behavior is morality. So now you're being forced to behave in a way that either you feel uncomfortable about or you disagree with. And the danger in all of this is that we forget that this was not the Sunday law, for one thing, because the Sunday law is ahead of us. So we're still observers. That's one point. And if you go to Matthew 13, we are both the servants and the plants. So we, right through history, these prophetic lines, we have to handle the fact that we're both observers and actors at the same time. And it's harder to do than you think. So I'll give you a really silly example that I've given to people. Prophecy says there's going to be a Sunday law. Who is going to instigate that Sunday law? The left or the right? Right, Will. There was an idea a few years ago based upon Elder Tess's reference or comment on a Spirit of Prophecy quote. What was that issue? Does anybody know? The executive branch is not necessary because of the SOP quote. And when Elder Tess read that quote, people were under the idea that you don't need a right-wing executive branch. The judiciary and the legislature would be enough. Rightly or wrongly, right or wrong, I went on record to say I disagree with that. Not that I disagree with what Elder Tess said, but I disagree with that idea. I never went into the quote to explain why I disagree with people's interpretation of that. So if that's the case, we need a right-wing executive branch. Are we all in agreement with that? However, would they get that? So if that's the case, and that's what prophecy is teaching, should we be in agreement with prophecy or should we resist prophecy? Should you put your vote with prophecy or stand in opposition to prophecy? Monica, stand with prophecy or fight against it? You're going to fight against prophecy.
If that's what you mean, that it's the right wing who brings it, then we should fight against it, vote against it.
So this movement is supposed to resist the prophetic imperative. All right. Everybody agree with that? That that's what we should be doing? Prophecy teaches one thing, and we should resist prophecy with all of our might. to make sure it doesn't happen. Everybody fine with that? Yep. Is that a spirit of prophecy guideline? Advice? It is. When I say it that way, you know that it is. Because Ellen White says, we don't wait for the Sunday law. We resist it. So lots of people fall into the trap of that argument. So just want us to be clear that when we deal with this subject, that we're supposed to maintain a level of objectivity. And I define that we are a prophetic movement. And then I said, if you start doing them and us, you'll get into a problem. What's the problem that you're going to get into? The same as
terms of one is a corporate, and so are you. So you're bound by the same rules, essentially.
I agree with that. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say you lose objectivity. You become part of the problem.
If you do this, you lose objectivity. Them and us, that's, this is we, us, and that's the enemy. Because these are enemies, aren't they? So now everybody on the right is your enemy. What do all these people want? They want the Sunday law. Sorry? Oh, sorry. They want a Sunday law. And we don't. So they're the bad people and we're the good people. And what we're supposed to do in this law, in this dispensation, Daniel 11:41. I won't quote Daniel 11:41, but come out of her, my people. But they hate them. We're not going to do anything for them. So when we start getting wrapped into this moral framework where we become the actors and we take on the role of the left, I'm going to have to stop. Okay. What ends up happening is we lose objectivity. And the people that we are supposed to be supporting or helping, you can't help any longer because they become your enemy. And above all, we need to remember what our purpose here on earth is. That we're an extension of the kingdom of heaven. So that was the point I was trying to make. And I can't remember the wording that I used, but obviously it got lost in the translation. So I'll summarize. When I say we're a movement of prophecy, we're supposed to be outside of the problem and observe what's going on, even in the history of the Sunday law. And then I said we should stay away from morality issues. What I didn't mean is that we stay away from issues. It means how we speak about and report on issues as a corporate body when we do our little preamble of an article, when we give our emoji comments at the bottom, it shouldn't be, yeah, I hate them, they're bad people, or whatever variation of that idea that you want to say. The us, people on the left, don't misunderstand me, don't need saving because they're on the right side. And who's going to save their enemies? That's why when you go to the New Testament, you see this model being played out over and over again in the work and ministry of Paul. He doesn't go hating them. They're his mission field. That was the point I was trying to make. And I think that's what Arian said in his answer. Okay, we've run out of time. And we've got internet problems. Let's close the prayer. Hold that you've given us the privilege of life, health, and strength. We thank you that we can openly discuss things. That we can disagree with one another. And that we see this as a safe place to learn. To make mistakes. To not feel judged. Breathe upon us the breath of God through this camp. As we soon enter into the Sabbath hours, may we maintain the spirit of humility and of forbearance. Bless those who are hearing online. In Jesus' name, amen.